Hello. FlutterFlow is a great tool to create web and mobile applications, and we really like it. But when it comes to work with different backend APIs or databases and services, it's quite limited. So that's why we created API Flow to allow developers, no-code developers like us, to create uh, APIs easily to connect different data sources to FlutterFlow. So in this short demo, I will show you how to query data from MySQL and how to change data in MySQL when responding to some actions in uh, FlutterFlow app. So first of all, what we need to do to create a new project in API Flow, and we will use MySQL as backend database. I already created a small, very simple table called todos in my database, which contains to-do ID as primary key, title, due date, and status as fields. So you can see here we will work with this data. And first step, when you connect MySQL with API Flow, you need to create MySQL connection. I already created one, but if you create an app from scratch, you will need to provide API Flow information how to connect your MySQL database. So for this, you need to provide server address or API. It must be public available via internet database server port, it's actually default MySQL port. Database name we will use to access to data, login, and password. So I already created a connection for my database and use it with this application. So next, what we need to do, we need to specify access level. By default, it's select to allow to query data, but you also can enable insert and update to allow to insert data and update data. We don't need delete for this demo, but if your application requires also delete data from MySQL, you need to enable this option. So next we need to select tables we will use with our project. In my case, I will use todos table. You can use multiple different tables. And next step is to publish our project live. So we will publish it. And now what we need to do, we need to download open API definition. We will return to FlutterFlow and go to API calls section, and we'll upload our open API definition. This will automatically create API group inside FlutterFlow and will automatically provide actions to work with selected tables in your database. You can test this action right now. And as you can see, we received error that authorization token is invalid or missing. So to provide this authorization flow, we need to return to API group definition, copy this key from API flow, return to FlutterFlow, add header, and paste the value you copied from your project in API flow. Do not forget to save your changes. So we saved changes, we go to our action list todos, and now we send test request and receive data. So you also can filter data. All filters is specified in round brackets. So if you want, for example, to use to do ID bigger than 4, we can use such filter, and as you can see, we received data with according to this filter. Also, for example, we want status, can use it lowercase, and status is new. So same as MySQL queries language, you can use same with ApiFlow. You can order by, for example, ToDo ID descending, and this will order our data in descending order. You do not need any filters or different order with our application for now, but you can use it in case. Also, you can use offset and delete. So now we go to our page. Go to our page. We will use home page, and we need to connect our ListView. We have here ListView to backend query. So we use add query, API call, group, and list todos. So this will be our API call. But what I also propose to do to simplify work with data you receive from APIs, it's better to use data types. So in our case, we will create a new data type called ToDo, and we'll specify its fields, integer, ToDo ID, its title, string, its due date. We will use also string and its status. In our case, it's also string. You can use any different types like integers, floats, odd numbers, date, and etc. It depends from your database configuration. So for our API call, we can configure a response type to be used to be parsed as data type. And in this case, if we have todos list, we will mark that we receive a list. This will automatically parse our input, our data from API call into data type. Same is for get due by ID. We can, as you can see, we have here automatically prepared variable ToDo ID when we will query it. So we need to use it. You can see it will return specific element from our database. So we specify ToDo here. We can also use JSON pass, but it's more simple to use data types. It's more comfortable. So in our case, we will use list todos, and now when we connected it as backend query for our list view, we can automatically generate children from values. So we will use list todos response as data type. So you can see we select option as data type, and we don't need any changes. We will save it. Okay, we need to name it. We will name it todos. And we see the widget, ListView widget, will generate children dynamically from the specified variables. So now we have like this small preview, and we can go to checkbox list tile I use as a child item of ListView and specify its data using data from ToDo data type. As you can see, I have access to todos item, and I can use data structure field for my text, and I will use title from ToDo data type. So now we have this mapping. I mapped title from ToDo item to title. And I can map subtitle text using this settings icon. Also to todos item, data structure field, due date, and confirm. And next, what I can do, I want, for example, display checkbox, uh, checkbox status based on status in our database. So I have two statuses. I have new status and completed status. I use text statuses. It's my preference. You can use some numbers or bit values. I use text status. So for this, we will use conditional value, and it will allow us to stop single condition if first value, ToDo item, data structure field, status is equal to completed, then value will be mapped. Like checkbox will be checked, and else value will be unchecked. Confirm. One moment. What I need to do? What it's invalid. Okay. Yeah, you just need to check and check last condition because it's supposed it's not set. I think so. So now we attached our query to this list, and we can try how it works. Let's see. So we'll see how it works. It takes some time to build our application, so I will skip this time on video. Do not take your additional time. I will just remind you what we did. We created a new project in ApiFlow. We set our connection to MySQL database. We enabled access level. In this case, it's select, insert, and update. We selected todos table to be available for our FlutterFlow application and be available, be exposed to through ApiFlow API. We published our project. Then we downloaded OpenAPI definitions. We went to FlutterFlow API calls, uploaded our OpenAPI definition. We copied authorization header from ApiFlow and added two headers in our API group in FlutterFlow. Next, what we did, we created data type. We created a data type ToDo with fields same as our database, same as returned from API, and we mapped our list todos value to parse data type as list. Then we went to our home page, base page, and mapped our list with backend query the backend query, list todos from API calls, and then we configured dynamic children generation to use data from todos response in todo data type. Next, we connected items, connected fields in our checkbox list style to different fields from our to-do data item, like title to title, subtitle to due date, and checked condition to status server. And now we wait till our demo will be built. And as you can see, we see our data here. It shows us status, it shows us name, shows us date time. You can format it later if you prefer different format, you can change it and it will be visible. So we show our items from database here. What you need, what you can do also, you can, for example, enable you can enable infinite scroll. If you have much data to load, you can enable infinite scroll. And then what you need to do, you need to set parameter offset to variable of loaded items. So this will offset results every time it's loaded, skipping already loaded items. And you can limit, for example, you can limit the initial page load also here with some amount of data. You can set additional variable and you can set limit, for example, to 10 items. So it will load only 10 items per request, per query. And how it will look like? So now when it loaded, you will see 10 items by default, and if there will be more items, it will load it when you will scroll to the bottom. We do not have so much data, so it's hard to see how it works. If you have huge amount of data, I prefer to use this infinite scroll or filter data by user or filter data by some other conditions. So it's how you can connect your data from MySQL to use it with FlutterFlow through ApiFlow API gateway, and you can easily consume this data from your application. What we will do next, we will try to add reaction for toggle. On toggle on, we will add action. And we want backend database API call, and we will use update todos. And to use update, what we need to do, we need to return to our API call. And as you can see here, we already have some body sample here. and we have to do ID variable. So what we need to do to prefill this JSON body with data from our real ToDo, we will create additional variable for status. We will use only status here. We will change only status, so we do not want other fields, only status. And we will remove title and due date, and we will set status. Here you need to drag this variable, and it will be inserted into JSON body. And as you can see, ToDo ID is already configured as part of our request address. So next we return to our action. We added action for backend call to Gluton and set additional variable ToDo ID. We will use this configuration icon again, ToDo's item, data structure field, ToDo ID, config. And we need to set additional variable, status. If it checked, it completed. So success. If true, we want to we don't need to do anything, I suppose. Must have true, and I suppose we can delete this conditional value, so we only need to update them. So next, what we will do, we will launch test of our application, and we'll wait until it builds. So now our test app is loaded, and if we go to MySQL, we can see plan next ID have status new, and when we check it, so it will set status to completed. Plan next ID is completed. And if we want to do vice versa action, so when we want to uncheck it and to good off, we'll add action, backend database action, API call, and we'll configure it to use new status when value is unchecked. So we need to set status field to new if it was unchecked. We have now action set when we toggle on this checkbox, item is updated and it's set to completed. And when we uncheck it, set to new status when it toggled off. Using ToDo ID from binded item. So we can rebuild our application and see how it works. So now when our app is built, you can check status, and as it's saved in database, it will be preserved after reload, and we can check it back and it will be preserved after reload. So we select our data from MySQL database and send it back when we need. We update it. Also, we can insert data, or delete it if it's required. So I hope this will help you to empower your applications with abilities to connect MySQL backend. Check link to, I will share a link to this project in video description, and also check other uh, tutorials we posted on our channel to enjoy even more flexibility when you build FlutterFlow apps and use different databases, services, and APIs. Have a nice day.